good morning and welcome. Yes, it's another light show from the breakfast show here at Chatbox Studios. Well, some of us are here in the studio because Nick is joining us from London, and we're going to come on to that in a minute and find out a little bit why he is out there remotely working, joining us from, well, your virtual studio, but in a live conference. So, Nick, tell us a little bit about what it is and where you are this morning, because you are on the road a lot at the moment, but that kind of focuses well on the show as well.
Brilliant timing for a show all about digital nomads and hybrid working. Yes, I'm here in London, 155 Bishopsgate, just around the corner from Liverpool Street. If you know it, it's an etc. venue, Property Mark annual conference here in London. So I'm working with one of my teams today, and it just means I'm out of the office. Great to be out of the office, and hooked on to the venue's Wi-Fi. And fingers crossed, it'll hold off for the show. So yeah, I'm in the foyer. So don't be surprised if people walk past, if it gets noisy, because the party's started already here down in London.
Yeah, brilliant. So there it is. Nick is working remotely today. If you remember, last week Nick was also working remotely, and the week before that as well. You're certainly pushing the boundaries, Nick, when we come to remote working, and we're going to talk a lot about that. We're going to talk with 4 guests lined up this morning, all coming on the show to share some of their stories. And they're all coming from international locations as well, which certainly spices it up and makes it a lot more interesting. We're going to hear their stories, how they're working as digital nomads, how they're being able to travel and enjoy a lifestyle, but at the same time be able to seriously knuckle down and get things done. And Nick, your experience a couple of weeks ago on the show, you managed to get some connectivity, we call that loosely. But tell us a little bit about your experience of travel and the experience of trying to work remotely, doing your day-to-day job, but from unknown locations as you moved around the country.
Yes, I've got a lot to learn. Okay, so lots of questions for our lovely guests today. And audience, please feel free to throw your comments into the chat box of your choice on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, wherever you're tuning in. Let us know your thoughts, your ideas about remote working or digital nomads. So yeah, I've been on tour. I had a couple of weeks in Scotland, working and traveling to combine the work that I traditionally do in the office, plus any work that's going on in Scotland, and the fabulous idea of traveling and seeing a bit more of the world. So that experiment will continue. Biggest struggles, being in a lovely new place, trying to stay motivated, trying to make sure I've got time in the office. Okay, it's absolutely fine in the office at home, no distractions, off you go. Very different if you look out your window and you see Scottish mountains, think, oh, I'll just go and climb up the mountain in the morning. It's difficult to drag yourself back into the office. So that was one of the challenges. Connectivity was another challenge. But I've spent 2 years over the pandemic sitting in my office at home. That office could have been anywhere. So I'm really interested to hear from our lovely guests and audience. How does it work for you? What are the tips? What are the tricks? What will help me travel more and work more at the same time?
Yeah. So biggest takeaway so far, one single takeaway. What's been your biggest takeaway of being on the roads, packing your toothbrush, making sure you got some clean underpants and that type of thing? What is your top takeaway? And second question, what things did you miss when you're out and about? Because, it could be something like a highlighter. You're working, I need a highlighter. Oh, I didn't bring them with me. So
yeah, and I think that'll be a learning curve. But the biggest takeaway was it's doable. Right? There's nothing realistically, if you work in a kind of consultancy style business, and you're doing a lot of Zoom calls or Teams calls, then it's very, very doable. Okay, as long as you've got some connectivity. What did I miss? Really good question. I don't know. Took a really nice coffee machine, so could have really decent coffee.
Yeah.
I don't think I missed anything really. Oh, actually, Scotland's quite remote, so I missed a corner shop. Christ, you got to drive some distance to find a shop.
Yeah,
but that's location specific.
Plan and organise, yeah. So yeah, if you're just joining us, whether you're joining us from Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or YouTube, this morning's show is all about digital nomads and working remotely. And lots of us have found ourselves in a situation due to things outside of our individual control, the pandemic obviously being the big thing here, that we've all found we ended up working remotely. And then kind of since then, things are returning to normality. Nick was sharing with me before the show kicked off that London is booming. Last night you were out for dinner, Nick, and it was like, what pandemic? What remote working? It was go, go, go.
It's like we've gone back 2 years before the pandemic or longer. It was a Wednesday night and the place was mobbed. Right? The restaurants were packed. People were out drinking, after work socializing. It was two things struck me. The cost of living crisis doesn't seem to have reverberated around London, not the part I was in. It's as though everything over the last 2 years has been forgotten. We're back in action.
Yeah, absolutely. Back in action. The key words to take away there. So what we're going to be doing this morning, we're going to be experiencing it from a different angle, from different digital nomads, remote working around the world, and hear their top tips, hear their stories, hear what's worked for them, hear their challenges that they've faced whilst trying to work remotely. And I've been there. I spent 3 years living and working from Spain and traveling, getting backwards and forwards there. And yeah, you're right, Nick. One of the big things is when you're at a location, you want to go and see everything. But then realistically, you've also got work to do. But of course, the best people to hear it from is the people that are there doing it now as we speak as well. So straight after this, when we come back, we're going to get our first guest onto the show, and we're going to find out how she has been coping. And she's been traveling for a long time and being a digital nomad for a number of years now. We're back straight after this. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning for the Chatbox Business Breakfast Show. We're going to bring our first guest on this morning where we're talking about digital nomads and working remotely and find out some top tips and what you could do if you decided, actually, I'm not going to go and work for somebody. I'm not going back to the office. I'm going to go out there, travel and enjoy my life. Please welcome a friend of the show, been on the show a number of times in the past, but haven't seen her for about 7 or 8 months at least. Please welcome a great friend and someone that can teach us a few great lessons, Christine Michaelis. Good morning, Christine, and welcome.
Hey! Hello.
Already. The energy's booming.
Good morning.
Good morning, Christine. You're a business coach, a business mentor. You specialize in kind of marketing is one of your areas of expertise, amongst many others, of course. The Creative Startup Academy, you run that and you're operating that typically around Europe, but not limited to. Tell us a little bit more about that, because last time I saw you face to face, we were in Sweden a couple of years ago at one of your really well organized events. What's been happening since then? What have you been up to? And how is remote working going? And tell us about the unicorn as well.
Oh, thank you. Yes, this is Gavin. Hello, everyone. Me and my co-founder, Gavin, of the Creative Startup Academy. Like you said, where I support startups mainly in the first 3 years of their journey from around the globe. Mainly actually online, and obviously like Nick also said, the last 2 years was only online and not in person. I'm a person who loves meeting people in person, hugging. I have this kinesthetic preference, as they say, so I like to be around people. So it was a bit difficult not to do that. However, it worked as well as doing it in person. The networking, there were other things that I've joined, the networking events that you used to organize, David, for the FSB. And all this was possible because it had to go online and I was not in the UK. I lived in the UK for a while, for almost 10 years. I'm from Germany, then moved to Sweden, where we've met the last time in person. because due to a European Startup Festival I was organizing there. And then now at the moment I'm in Italy. However, rightly, as you say, my whole business is actually set up to be worked from wherever you like in the world. Now, this comes with advantages, as everyone knows. You travel, you see the world as you wish, but also comes with a lot of challenges and things that you might not think that might be a challenge, or things you don't think about. And there's a term that I would like to throw in that my friend Ali was using the other day, because she called herself a digital nomad, and now she calls herself a slow mad, because she's not traveling so much anymore. She's more static in one place for a longer time. Usually digital nomads, the typical younger ones maybe, they travel for like 3 months or even less time from one place to another, which can be also stressful because you always have to find accommodation, things like this. Also, if you're renting short term something, you always pay more than if you would rent long term. So that's actually one of the things I wanted to say. But apart from where people say, oh, if you work remotely, so if it's not even traveling and working remotely, but remotely from work and not in an office with other people, sometimes people think, oh, you're less productive and stuff. I don't have that issue. I'm extremely productive wherever I am, because I focus on what. But one tip I also would like to give, if you do that, and that can be sometimes a bit difficult, is to detach the working world from your non-working world, because for the brain that's easier to detach, because if you travel and work, and if you in addition have your own business, because there's a lot of digital nomads that are employed as well, which is possible and lovely, but if you do have your own business and you travel, it can be sometimes a bit difficult to switch off and, oh, I just quickly check my emails on the beach, even on the phone, which are all great advantages. And people say, oh, I can enjoy this beautiful beach and work. But you need to make sure you also split and separate that world, and really take time off for yourself to rest your brain and to recharge, really. So that would be one of my things. Another thing is, and I noticed as well, of course, that you've used a woman sitting on the beach with her laptop. That's all lovely and it's doable, of course, as long as there's internet or you use your mobile hotspot, for example, for that. However, it's uncomfortable. The laptop gets hot if you're in the sun, and it's not good for the posture, really. And you're going to get some back pain and neck pain. So one of the other things is really that I would suggest, always find a good setup, and it's out of your hands, of course, if you go to a cafe or where you are, Nick, at the moment in a foyer. But have something that folds small, is light. It's all about that when you travel a lot. That you can take, that is this laptop stand, maybe a separate keyboard that is small. I had that. And so you have like a little setup that you always take with you to be really in a comfortable position and be able to work. So that's another thing. And then something that people don't think about, when I moved to England, for example, same for Sweden, you do not know where you can buy things, because the stores and the brands are completely different most of the time to where you come from. If you stay in the same country, so you're moving around within England, then okay, you know Tesco's a supermarket. But when I moved to London, I did not know where to buy a toilet brush. It's a strange thing, but I was like, where the hell do I get a toilet brush from?
And this is, it's the simple things sometimes that become the most complex things. I suppose, and again, I do support local businesses before anyone starts putting in the chat, but I suppose now we're in this world where Amazon and other similar online retailers are everywhere. So it doesn't matter, certainly within Europe, you can go to any of the countries, and if you can't want your toilet brush, you can go onto Amazon and have it delivered to your front door.
Although I have to say, Amazon does not exist in Sweden, for example. Because I think they do have the culture that we support the local businesses. We do not have, there's no Amazon.se. And in Sweden, I had the problem, where do I get batteries from? And I needed them. So you can't just wait for the next day.
Find IKEA instead then.
Yeah.
They seem to stock everything, and they definitely do toilet brushes.
Yes.
So, biggest takeaway from working remotely? What's your? I mean, you say you are very motivated, so you can split the work away from, kind of the lifestyle, the pleasure, going out and working on the culture, meeting new people, visiting, the sites to see and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what's your biggest takeaway from working remotely? What's the bit that you most enjoy about it? Because obviously there's something that drives you to keep doing it.
Yeah, well, it's actually meeting different people and exploring other cultures, food, and brands, and understand how something works in another country, because I think it gives you a lot of examples that you can learn from for your life and for your business, and how to not do business sometimes as well. So from a business perspective, that is what I would say. From a personal perspective, it's just beautiful exploring new countries, new people, new cultures, new food that you haven't tried before. But that's obviously if we can travel and if we can actually meet in person, which we can at the moment. So that's lovely. Biggest takeaway: if everything's just online, it can work as well, but you have to adjust and you have to really get out of your comfort zone a lot with new technologies that you haven't worked with.
I'm going to struggle a little bit with that. David is on a mission to convert me to be more tech. Right? I still have a paper diary, and if we get to the end of the year and I still own a paper diary, I think David will sense that he's failed. So we're on a mission, and I did find that I tend to take too much stuff with me when I'm traveling, not just pairs of shoes, but too many things from the office. And I think I can shrink that down. And you're massively productive, Christine. You get loads and loads of stuff done. Would you say that your ability to travel and work from different locations makes your business better?
Yes, in one way, yes, because I like I said, because you learn new things. You're talking to people that are using technologies or equipment. You meet other digital nomads, and you thought, I have a good stand for my laptop, but this one is lighter and better, so I'm gonna change it to that. So it's improving setup kind of things, and the business, because you get so many new ideas, meet so many people, and lots of collaboration comes out of that usually.
One of the things I'm looking forward to on my travels is seeing how other cultures communicate, what I can learn from that, what I can potentially bring back to other clients. You know, how it's done, let's say in Italy, how it's done in France, even how it's done in Scotland. What best practice can I bring back to my clients? What else can I talk about based on what I've learned? So it's a massive. There's so much. The world is big, right? It's big and small. If it's all digital, it's quite small. But if we're traveling, it's quite big. So much to learn. At what point do you think you'd be finished learning? Do you know enough now?
Never. Never, but that's like the sometimes attitude someone has. No, it's the life is a learning curve forever, because things change in the world. You always have to adapt for things like David said that are out of your control. And I'm someone who constantly wants to improve, but also sometimes, I was working with a super challenging client, and I finished it, but I do know I don't need that anymore. I don't need certain challenges anymore. I don't need it. However, I still want to learn new things and stuff.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, Christy. So we always ask people that come on the show for their top business tip. As you might not know actually, Christine, but we've been collating over the course of like the last 17, 18 months now, everybody's top tips, one single top tip. And we're combining them all together to actually produce and publish a book. And that book will have all the quotes from all our guests who have joined us on the show over the past year plus. Now, we've had one from you in the past, and I can't remember exactly what it is. We're not going to give
Me neither.
You gave us one in the past. But based on digital nomads and remote working or something, what would be your top tip to everybody listening and watching this morning? if they thought about they wanted to kind of give it a try?
That would be my tip. Give it a try. And give a try to new things. Be open-minded to new things and just try it. Nick, really, I understand you want a paper diary because I had one for years and I refused to go digital. Then I tried it. There was a transition where I had both, which was very annoying, but possible. Now I would never go back to a paper diary because of all the advantages I see. So if you try new things, you might, that you even a bit like this, you can stop using the new technology, the new thing, but try it, and then you can say, no, it's not for me. Because if you haven't tried it, you can't say it.
Yeah, absolutely. So your top tip is give it a go, give it a try, find out if it's for you or if it's not. I'm 100% behind that, because every day's a school day. As we're finding out, you learn something new every day, and you've got to go out there and give it a whirl and see what happens. Christine, what's next for you?
Hold on, quick reflection. Talking of travel and trying new things, Laura's posted that her 9-year-old daughter is amazed, absolutely amazed that people can survive without Amazon. Definitely a sign of the times. And Laura quite rightly explained to her lovely daughter that back in the day there was no Amazon mobiles, no Domino's. So yeah, she's going to take her traveling. Going to start with Sweden. Brilliant.
Yeah. So what's next for me? I don't know. I'm planning new projects as usual. I have some collaborations going on with a couple of people where we want to take a 9 weeks program to accelerators, co-writing a book with someone else about leadership skills. And I've just redesigned my entire Creative Startup Academy and really focus solely on that to set up more online live support by me as well.
Perfect. And then finally, because we have got a busy show, otherwise we could talk to you for the rest of the hour. People want to find out more about Christine, want to find out more about the Creative Startup Academy. How can they do that? What's the best way of getting in touch? I think this might help a little bit.
Yeah, so exactly. Just the website, creativestartupacademy.com, and you find all the links. Link up with me on LinkedIn. Feel free to do that. Message me there. Always happy to connect.
Yeah, brilliant. Christine, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here on the show this morning, sharing some top tips, giving us an update of what you're up to, where you're going, and what the future holds. We will catch up. We have to catch up at some point. Maybe I'll come over to Italy and we can go for.
I'm in Italy week after next.
There you go. Look, it's going to be
I'm in Pescara. If Pescara is anywhere nearby.
No.
Too far. Oh, well, another time.
But beautiful. Enjoy. Thank you so much for having me on the show, and enjoy the rest of the conversation.
Brilliant. Thank you, Christine. All the best. Have yourself a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Fantastic. Great way to kick off the show this morning, having Christine, a friend of the show, coming back on, giving us an update of what she's up to, and some of the pains there that you do find that when you are working remotely. We do paint this picture of it's glamorous, isn't it? Sitting on a beach with a laptop, cocktail in hand, working away, but that's not always the reality. I'm not saying it can't be, but let's be honest, it's probably 95% of the time it's not the reality. It's the complete
work's
opposite.
Still got to get done, right? Still got to work. You still need the tools to hand to be able to function effectively as a business or as a worker.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to push on quite quickly because our next guest is sitting backstage ready to come on and share a little bit more about who they are, their journey, and probably, no doubt, share some more great top tips with us. We're just going to say a quick thank you to one of our sponsors, and then we'll be getting on with the show. There we go. Thank you, Feet on the Grounds, for helping us. If you want to be a sponsor and come on and put your name in big lights out there and broadcast it globally around the world in front of many, many people who are in business, setting up businesses, working within businesses, do get in touch with us. You can reach us by emailing us at hello@chatboxproductions.com, or just, get in touch through one of the social channels. Drop us a link. Send us a personal or DM, and we'll get in touch. We can have a chat. We'd love more people to help us to take and make this more viral and share more great stories. Now, Nick, because you were on the road this morning, I've been kind of left with all the paperwork and the introductions. I suppose that's one of the benefits of traveling lightly. So I have the job of introducing all our wonderful guests this morning. And I'm going to do my best with all the interpretations of names and stuff like that. And hopefully I managed to get them all right throughout the show. So I'm going to welcome our next guest this morning, been waiting very patiently backstage. Please welcome Anna Rodríguez, Rejón, and hopefully, Anna, I got that right or somewhere close. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me well?
We can hear you perfectly well. Good morning and welcome. And thank you for joining us this morning on Chatbox Live for the breakfast show. Anna, you're in Spain currently, I believe.
Exactly.
Exactly. Tell us a little bit more about Anna, and tell us a little bit more about your business and your mobile working capacity and working as a digital nomad.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm a doctor in human nutrition. Lately, I'm focusing on mindfulness. It's the way I met Christine, and I'm a teacher of mindfulness, something that really helped me in the past, and I'm super happy to share it with others. So in general, I'm coaching people, I'm training people to increase their emotional intelligence through the practice of mindfulness. And the idea is to integrate conscious living into remote working. And mainly I'm focusing on digital nomads, remote workers. But in general, my purpose is to help people to develop healthy habits. And when we are traveling, that can be even more tricky. So we need to be really committed to keep healthy routines in our daily life, to keep our body and mind healthy, let's say. Mm-hmm. And I'm organizing retreats, workshops, classes. Well, that's the introduction.
I think that's a really great start and an interesting point. That certainly when you're in let's say a new country, your normal go-to nutrition options. I normally go to this shop to buy this or that shop. Suddenly everything's different. And without that good nutrition, healthy mind, the work's just not going to get done as effectively. So, So the retreats, Anna, so this all sounds brilliant. And the retreats, I take it on the retreat, you work with businesses or individuals to cover all of these things. Is that right?
Yeah. The retreats, the company is called Borderless Retreat. What we are doing is running retreats of mindfulness, and we are focused on, teaching meditation, mindful practice in general. We do yoga, but we also talk about mind empowerment, body empowerment. We cook healthy food, normally vegetarian food. So the idea is to spend 1 week together. People have time to work, so we have co-working spaces, and people are there with their laptops, or some people are writing, or having a walk and getting inspired because we're close to nature. And very often when we are in the city, we miss nature, part of the healthy habits too. And we put all that together in a group of like-minded people and open-hearted people too. It's really beautiful because what we promote is deep connections, something that we can also miss when we are working lonely at home. No, we really miss humans in the end. So we connect, we work on ourselves, on our personal development, but also on the professional side. So we run masterminds, we talk about our businesses, and we support each other as entrepreneurs. We have also employees and artists, but very often entrepreneurs. Yeah.
Really, really interesting actually, because you talk about when you're working remotely, working maybe from the home, maybe you're traveling around as Nick's been doing over the last several weeks, Airbnbs and stuff like that. If you're an entrepreneur as well, typically you need people around you to talk to bounce ideas off, just to have conversation with. And that is probably one of the downsides in some cases to nomad working, to traveling around, because you don't have necessarily those connections and friends and people surrounding you. So one of the things you talk about is obviously bringing those people together. You mentioned masterminds, so bringing people together, two minds is greater than one, or three, or four. So this is a big thing, isn't it? Having people that you can share, collaborate, and have human, as Nick will call it, human conversation with.
Definitely. Paradoxically, one of the best things of the nomad life, if you ask any nomad, what they say is about people. And it's because, when you're in an office, you cannot choose who is sitting on your right and on your left side. But when you're traveling, you can choose the place where you want to work. You can choose the co-working, the vibe that you like more. You can work from a cafe, or you can work from a nice co-working space in nature. When you are choosing an Airbnb, like for example, one of the last weeks I was in Barcelona, and I didn't feel like being in the city. And I went to the countryside, to a beautiful Airbnb in the mountains, in a garden that was magical. And I was working there with my computer. It was just amazing. And I can choose that. And when I want to be with people, I can go to very cool co-working, and we can hang out during the time I'm working, or even in our free time, no? And then we have the concept of co-living, remote work people who come to live together. So we need human connections, definitely.
This is so kind of what I'm looking for. A group of like-minded people, opportunity to kind of really open my mind to kind of different ideas, and travel as well. I'm in, and we'll have to connect outside of the show and see when the next retreat is happening, because I could learn so much about how I want my business to progress kind of internationally on one of your retreats. It's brilliant. I'm a big fan of working with other people. David and I bounce ideas off each other all the time. Probably too much. We've got so many ideas for Chatbox and other things. But it's so lonely just sitting on your own in the office with no escape. And it's lovely to hear that as a digital nomad, it's easy. It's easy to go and choose where you work. What are the biggest challenges for you?
I will tell you that, and before, let me share just briefly that one of the things that I would recommend always is to find a community. And there are communities of digital nomads almost everywhere. So it's quite easy to find Facebook groups, or we use very often Slack. And there are amazing groups where you can find support and social events, and also professional events. So we always can find a community of like-minded people. And of course, we have challenges too. I would say that after years traveling, when we are real digital nomads like me, that I don't have a home, I say home is wherever I am, but I don't have a house, and I have to carry all my stuff with me. So we become minimalists. I think Nick was mentioning something like that. We have to learn to travel with as less as possible. And sometimes you would like to have some stuff that make your life more comfortable, but you don't want to buy stuff all the time. So I would say that this is one of the main challenges. And then keeping the routine, again, back to stay healthy. Sometimes, you go to a very cool gym, or you have a really cool group of people you go running with, or you go surfing, whatever, and then you move again, and you have to restart again. So you have to, keep on developing healthy routines once and again. So you have to be really, really thoughtful about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, and of course, healthy mind, healthy body, healthy business. It's very, very important. Even if you're not, traveling around, it's a lot harder if you're moving around, traveling. As Christine said earlier, you turn up somewhere, you need to buy a toilet brush. I mean, that, not from the health part of you, but you turn up somewhere and you go, I want to buy these items of food because that's what I like. Where do I go? Where do I start? What's the replacement for it? What will be the brand in the country you're working within? So it's starting to learn and understand all of this. It's super important. Top tip from you. You probably heard that we're compiling a book that will be launched hopefully later this year. It will certainly be coming to the shelves very soon, where we're gathering all the knowledge and experience and ideas from all our guests that come on the show. If you could tell your younger self one top tip, or share with our audience and listeners today, what would that one tip be? It doesn't have to be around digital nomads, but if you want to base it around that, Brilliant.
I would say one that I heard from someone. I would say meditate. And if you don't have time to meditate more.
Meditate more, yeah.
Yes,
You know,
and that will have an impact also in our projects and businesses and in every area of our lives, you know, many benefits from meditation.
Yeah, time for yourself as well. Time just to clear the mind and kind of put everything out of it and just think nothing, as they would say. Yeah, brilliant. And last question, how can people get in touch with you if they want to find out more? Website is probably the go-to place, I'd imagine.
Yeah, they can check the website to check the retreats of mindfulness for remote workers. And they can also find me on LinkedIn, Ana Rodríguez Rejón. I will be very happy to connect there directly with people.
Brilliant. Yeah, so the website is borderlessretreat.com, where people can go off and find out more about you, reach out, get in touch, and maybe come over and go to a borderless retreat. Nick has already kind of suggested he's going to throw his hat in the ring there, so watch out. Nick will be no doubt getting in touch with you. Anna, it's been great having you here today. Thank you very much for joining us all the way over in, I assume it is sunny in Spain today.
It's really sunny. Thank you very much for having me here. It was a pleasure. Have fun.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
There we go, Nick, rattling through our fantastic...
Fascinating, mate. Brilliant. The timing couldn't be better for me. I think there'll be a lot of our audience. Either you're working for someone else or you've got your own business, and you know it's as Christine says, give it a try, and as Anna says, it's very doable, but you just need to kind of be disciplined, have a routine. It sounds exciting, right? I know you've done it. You've been there. You've spent a number of years working, doing the same sort of stuff that you're doing now, but based in Spain.
Yeah. I dug out a picture from the archives from about just over a year ago. There's me, our place in Spain, sitting there working outside under an umbrella. It wasn't the hottest day. As Christine said, you can work outside. Your laptop overheats and then slows down and stuff like that. So, everyone has this perceived it's a great lifestyle, but, I was living there. So I was living and working. I was getting up and going to work every day. Yes, I had a slightly different lifestyle. One thing I did like, I must admit, about living in Europe, and when I say it's kind of, in Spain rather than the UK, was the time difference. It has an advantage to me. It meant I could get up, have, a lazy morning, so to speak, because the UK didn't kind of click in till 9 o'clock-ish. Of course, there it was 10. The disadvantage was it meant you ended up working late sometimes as well. But you kind of found that balance and what works. And it's just a different way of working and a very enjoyable way as well. But one of the big things, Nick, before we bring our next guest onto the show, one of the things that you alluded to is connectivity. When you were traveling, connectivity can be an issue. And, Christine mentioned, good quality Wi-Fi, absolutely. But sometimes you don't want to always use public Wi-Fi as well. You're connected today to the conference Wi-Fi, looking good, holding up. But that could be so subjective. You turn up, it doesn't work, it's flaky, it drops off, more people join it. Also, there's issues potentially around security, another conversation for another show. But what about if you are traveling a lot more and you are more in the wilderness, like the Outer Hebrides in Scotland and stuff like that? So there is lots of solutions out there, mobile hotspots, 4G, 5G, if you get that coverage. And I did say I'd share, most people have probably heard of SpaceX and Elon Musk, but he has his Starlink solution. It's still in it's gone past beta phases now, but you can see this is a very, very small satellite dish on a tripod, easy to deploy, pretty portable, pretty much suitcase size. So if you are traveling, motorhoming in a car, you can pop it in, take it out, set it up. It does give you that flexibility, pretty good bandwidths and stuff like that. More than capable of doing what most people would be doing on a kind of a regular basis, but not cheap. It comes in at £85 a month and a £500 setup fee. But that's one of the prices that you'd pay. That is your office. You take it with you.
Well, and I think that connectivity was quite a question mark for me. So one of the things I need to do is to investigate decent solutions, just in case I turn up, let's say, to an Airbnb and the Wi-Fi doesn't work. Right? Just, it's something it's easier to guarantee in the office. Sometimes it will go down. Sometimes, it'll be like rocket fuel. But traveling, I think there's more question marks. So one of those considerations for sure. Because without the connectivity, there's so much, frustratingly, so much that you can't do.
Yeah, as a digital nomad, without the connectivity, you become a nomad. You are not digital any longer in most cases. So one of the drawbacks, and it's, in the day and age we live in, everybody needs connectivity. We're going to have a quick short break. After that, we're going to bring our next guest onto the show and learn more about being a digital nomad and working remotely. We're back straight after this. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, yes, we're broadcasting across all the social channels. And today, Nick is live in London, ready for a conference kicking off just after 9 o'clock. I'm sat in the office here, keeping control of everything and making sure everything runs smoothly. As always, doing the digital part, pressing the buttons. But it's great for you to join us this morning. We're talking about digital nomads and remote working. We've had two fantastic guests on sharing some of their stories. You can always pick this up on catch up later on if you've missed the first half of the show. But next, our next guest been waiting very patiently, sitting backstage. Please welcome to the studio and going to be telling us a little bit more about his role in being a digital nomad. Please welcome, hopefully I'm going to get this right, Stoyan Yankov. Good morning and welcome to the studio.
That was almost correct.
Oh, good.
Brilliant. Let us know what he got wrong. Tell us what he got wrong, my friend.
All right, so basically, if you want to say it originally, it will be Stoyan Yankov.
Stoyan, okay.
Stoyan
There you
Yankov.
go. There you go. How are you guys doing?
Very good, very good. Looks like you're living the life there. This is no virtual background. We can see that by the moving around. Look at that, the seas in the background, looking lovely there. Tell us a little bit more about what it is that you do and perform, which is your business.
Absolutely. Actually, very interesting. You guys invited me this week to join the show. And prior this week, the last 3 weeks, I think I took 10 flights. I was in 6 countries. I did 21 workshops and 18 team coaching sessions. So that is what I do. I'm often on the road. I'm a productivity and performance coach. Actually, a retired movie producer turned into performance coach for teams, because this is what I'm passionate about. This is what the world of movies and videos production taught me. I don't know if any of you have been in video and movie production, but you're always behind time, always behind budget, always behind people.
Sounds like the show. Absolutely. Let's just touch. I've got your. We ask all our guests. It's really worth. If anyone wants to join us on the show in the future, you can go to the website and we ask you to fill in a join the show application. I've got your one here, Stoyan, and it's great because it gives us a little bit of understanding. And I want to pick out a couple of things. But before I do, let's just talk about movie production. I love a good movie. It's my way of detaching from reality and kind of diving off into a place to escape. And what is it you did in the movie world? I mean, were these box office hit movies? Are they kind of in-country local movies, documentaries? What were they?
So my education is business, right? So I did my bachelor master degree in finance, and I decided to jump into the movie world from a place that I felt confident in, from the business perspective. I became a producer, and I set up a video production company in Denmark together with a business partner back there. And my job was being a producer. So being the money guy, being the budget, the project manager, understanding the world of creatives, but also understanding business and trying to make sense of things. A lot of the work that I did was for clients. So we'll do commercials, digital product videos. So basically anything the customers were happy to pay for. Not anything, but the cool projects that customers wanted to pay for, usually to help them to grow their business through video production.
Fantastic.
That makes great sense that you go from there into being a business performance coach, coming from a finance production perspective, and now you help people produce much better businesses. So how does that work if you're on the road all the time? First of all, I imagine you must be very productive. And is it just you just go and spend some time with the client, or you'll go to a place and you'll find a load of businesses? How does it work for you, this being on the road all the time?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. I hope to believe I'm tend to be productive. Otherwise, why am I teaching this, right? So I do have a stable base. So I used to live in Copenhagen, and during the pandemic I moved back my base to Sofia, Bulgaria, which is my native country, my home. And but I do travel a lot because my clients are all across the world. Specifically, main part of it is in Europe. So how does it work? It's a lot of planning. Um, where am I going? What's going on? Can I fit all the things in the schedule? And what do we do? Well, basically, you asked me about the Perform methodology. This is the core of the book as well. Perform.
I love the title on that, The Unsexy Truth About Startup Success. It really tells you what's coming in that book. It's not going to be, everything's great and dandy and this is, the set up a startup is brilliant. It's going to give you probably some home truths in there as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, we have this kind of a perception about entrepreneurship being the holy grail. It's amazing, you're building these companies and let's go and build a unicorn. And okay, let's talk about the real stuff of being an entrepreneur. What does it actually mean? Starting your own company is more like you're jumping into the jungle, right? Like you're Mr. Nobody, and the jungle is very abundant. You can build a lot of great things, but your mindset should not be, I'll have a unicorn and make an exit to Amazon in 3 years. Your mindset should be, majority of the companies are going to fail. I'm behind time from the get-go. I need to secure a shelter. I need to secure cash flows. I need to secure a team of allies around me and make sure that they're fed, right? Like they have enough cash flow to keep going while we actually have a chance to build something great in the future. Mm-hmm. But we gotta be really productive because you're behind, right? Your probability is not really good. so let's get down to that being said, doesn't mean don't ever build a company. I'll never go back to work for somebody, right? I love it. But how can you maximize your time and build a team that is maximizing their own time so we can actually have a chance to build something amazing in the future? And this book is filled with lots of practical ideas and advices, also including tools from over 50 successful entrepreneurs, unicorn founders from the region we like to call New Europe, which is Central and Eastern and Northern Europe. But yeah, the main thing is we gotta not only take care of the business side of the things, finance, marketing, sales, these kind of things, but every founder, every leader need to also pay attention to how do I build a great team? The softer topics, leadership, planning, team structure, like all those kind of things that we tend to neglect because we're too busy doing the business stuff.
Doing the business, yeah, absolutely. Pick up on, so a book. Firstly, let's make sure we get a good plug in here. How can people get the book?
It's available. You can find it online on Amazon, Kindle, soon to be also an audiobook, but so far paper.
I love a good audio book. It means I can be productive because I can be doing something like walking the dog and listening to a good audio book as well. So I'll be interested when that comes on audio, my preferred method of learning, actually. I love to read as well, but find I have less time to read. TEDx. Now, Nick is a fellow TEDx speaker and spoke at a couple of TEDx events. I saw you did a TEDx talk. Just give us we're running short on time, but give us a snippet of what that TEDx talk covered.
So basically, the main topic and idea I wanted to cover in the TEDx was the idea that if you want to build a great company in the long run, we should pay attention to two core things. care for the productivity, results, efficiency, systems, getting things done. And secondly, something that I believe we neglect sometimes a little bit more than we should, caring for the people. How do we create structures and environments where people are feeling appreciated, people are feeling taken care of, people are consistently being given responsibilities, and they grow in directions that they want to grow and develop in? So the whole TEDx talk is around this kind of topic, and I do believe leaders, executives, founders, we can do so much better, especially in the second area.
Yeah.
And I think there does seem to be a movement. Organizations are starting to think more about their people. I think one of their big concerns is if we let people work from home more, are they going to be productive? So what in a nutshell, what's your best tips for being productive when you're working in, let's say, a beautiful environment with mountains behind you? How do you stay productive, Stoyan?
So there's the, thank you by the way for the pronunciation. That was very close. That was great.
Getting there.
There's the two things, right? Your personal productivity and your team productivity. And if you're a leader, you gotta take ownership for both. But let's go with a personal one. I often do sessions, workshops, and there will be one person that will raise, almost always there'll be one person that will raise their hand and say, Stoyan, all these tools and tips and ideas are great, but I don't have time to plan my time. I'm just so busy, there's so much stuff to do, and I'm working from the, yeah, okay. Maybe you want to create time for planning your time so you can actually have time for planning and anything else. So I would say, especially if you're working remotely, you need to be even better in self-management and time management. So if there's one thing that people can get out of this little appearance of mine here, create space in your calendar that is not operational. Every single day, you need to have 15, 20, 25 minutes in your calendar, which is strategic thinking time, right? It's you sit down, you have a look at your day, you reflect, what did we do, where did we go, how far are we on the projects, what went wrong. Okay, cool. Looking at tomorrow, how can I get the best out of tomorrow? Let me unload all the tasks, all the responsibilities, all the meetings, put them on a piece of paper, on a spreadsheet, on your phone, you name it, and let me organize it. But organize it in terms of results. And this is the mindset shift many people are struggling with. What are you going to do tomorrow? I look at people's to-do lists. Tomorrow, I will follow up to leads.
Yeah.
Really? Hi, lead. I just want to follow up. Bye. Check.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you don't want to follow up to leads. There is some other intention you have with this. And unless you define what your result, your desired result is, you waste a lot of time.
Yeah. And of course, you've got to have a digital calendar. Makes it much easier to do this. Just to make a bit of a point there to Nick, who's still working out of a file of facts from the 1980s.
Oh, come on.
Well, okay.
I'm writing that down as a top tip, Stoyan.
I was going to say, what
plan
is
for tomorrow?
And that was it. Default some time into your calendar, 20 to 25 minutes on a daily basis. Give you time to think and strategize for the coming day. And also make sure what you're going to be doing tomorrow in your to-do list is, meaningful as well, not just follow up to leads. Let's make it something that's going to be tangible and actually addressable and can get done and then be ticked off the list. How can people get in touch with you and find out more about what you do? I've got a website here.
That's right. So you can definitely go to the webpage, stoyanyankov.com. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. One piece of advice, please write a little note if you're adding me on LinkedIn. Not just me, but everybody. Like randomly somebody adding you on LinkedIn, I'm probably not going to accept you. But yeah, please reach out on LinkedIn, send a little note. You can definitely also, if you're interested in those kind of topics, you can subscribe to my podcast, Productivity Mastery. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, having conversations with people like the founder of Reebok, the president of Starbucks, GTD, David Allen, a lot of cool people when we have conversations like we do with this handsome gentleman, Nick and David here, talking about productivity, talking about entrepreneurship. So if that's your cup of tea, feel free to also check it out.
Yeah, brilliant. I look forward to that. I will check that out. I'll get the podcast, listening to it when I'm walking the dog. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on the show. Great to have you on here. You're now officially a friend of the show, like our other guest this morning, and no doubt we'll be welcoming you back at some point soon. Thank you very much. And do download the podcast, read the book, get the book from Amazon. We will catch you soon. Thank you very much, Stoyan. All the best. Brilliant. There we go, Nick. We've got one more guest. We are going to overrun a little bit today. We normally kind of cut off.
Come on, another guest. Come on.
But it's our show, and of course, we're having great conversations, lots of great content flowing this morning, lots of great ideas, things to think about if you're going to set up your business, or maybe you're running a business and you're thinking about relocating, because that's a question I get asked quite a lot. When I'm speaking with clients, I want to change. They've been running their business maybe for multiple years, decades or two, but their lifestyle has changed. The children, have fled the nest or whatever it's going to be. And they're like, well, I might go and relocate to another country of origin and base myself there. What is it like? And there's lots of things to take away when you're trying to build a business. We spoke about it last week on the chat show when we're talking about international business. It's very hard just to pick up and just go and dump yourself in a country without knowing a little bit about the regulations, the culture, the expectations. As Christine said, where to buy stuff. These are all important things, not just when you're traveling, but if you're going to relocate and base yourself from another place. Even things like what's the weather like could be a big play. Lots of people move for better weather. So if you live in the UK, you disappear and go to sunnier climates, or maybe to the mountains, or whatever it is. It's subjective for all of us. So great stuff coming out this morning. Anyway, let's move on to our final guest of the show this morning. My apologies for keeping you sitting there patiently backstage, but we are here and it's now your time to shine. Please welcome to the show our final guest of today. Please welcome Jorin. Good morning, Jorin, and welcome.
Good morning, Nick. Good morning, David. Thank you for having me in your show and spontaneously accepting me. My name is Jorin, or Jorin, as you know. Sometimes I already had the experience maybe to say Jorin for English-speaking people. So yeah, cool. Nice to meet you, and let's go for it.
Yeah. So thriving nomads, Jorin. Tell us. That sounds awesome for this show. What is that all about?
It sounds awesome. It is awesome, right? Thriving Nomads is definitely one of the side projects that I'm doing at the moment. And I'm doing this project together with two other co-founders. They're both from Portugal. And Thriving Nomads is basically the idea of combining location independence and positive impact. And we are offering or organizing a conference around this topic with speakers, keynotes, panel discussions, and so on. So that was happening for the last 2 years with the Thriving Nomads, basically speaking.
Now, I believe you're in Germany. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct. I'm definitely, I'm actually in Germany, and that's quite a rare case. I mean, Germany is more of a, summer holiday country for me, more than that I'm actually living there. I'm literally, I'm sitting in my dad's room here right now because I'm, hanging out here for a couple of days. And I'm just about, I'm moving to my next location, generally speaking.
Okay. Yeah. So you're a true nomad, that you come back to a base, refresh, refuel, rebuild, and then kind of move on to the next location. Is that how you tends to be working?
Well, I believe that, I think people, they perceive me as a digital nomad. I wouldn't want to name myself like that, actually. I tend to say that I'm location independent. And I rather tend to, stay somewhere for a year, always traveling around and a little bit, but I do have a base, and I appreciate having a base also. And it is one of those challenges to sometimes then change bases also, and to find a new place and to get established and so on. So I'm not the type of person that is, moving around all the time. It's not something that I personally need anymore. I mean, I used to be backpacker and I used to be a hitchhiker in my 20s, and And then I turned into this, digital nomad, laptop person somewhere around, So I'm rather that type of person,
And what are the challenges? What's good about that? And what are the challenges that you face?
There are no challenges. So
Awesome.
there are a lot of challenges. There are a lot of challenges, to be honest. It is a lonely ride sometimes. Always finding new, friends in a new place to get used to this place. Sometimes you don't speak the language. I mean, I do speak some languages, so I tend to go to those countries that I speak the language. But yeah, sometimes you're also in countries where it's even harder than when you don't speak the language, or maybe you can't even read the characters. And the nice thing about this is that, of course, I mean, obviously that, you can always choose where you want to go, what you want to do. So if you're, for example, I mean, just maybe you're into good weather, you can kind of follow the good weather.
you track the good weather, absolutely, and follow it as it goes around.
Kind of. I mean, that's why I also prefer to be in Germany, for example, in summer and not so much in winter,
Yeah. So it's quite interesting. You mentioned about languages, and you go to the countries that
Right.
you have the ability to obviously understand, communicate in that native language. And I'm going to kind of do us as typical English British people an injustice here, but it's very true. We are very everyone speaks English, so we won't learn a language. Now, please, if you want to comment on that, do. But that's typically the mentality for lots of British people. We sit in this bubble. And we don't expand our ability, so we don't learn a foreign language, or if we do it, we have a small understanding and not the ability. But typically, most people that kind of live, throughout Central Europe have the ability to speak. In your case, I'm going to guess here, but you probably speak multiple languages. Obviously, being German, you probably speak, probably 3 or 4 other languages in some cases. I know Christine, probably boasts 4 or 5. That's quite typical. But British people are not like that. So it makes it more challenging for us. And we just go abroad and then expect everyone to speak English to us, which is rather rude. But that's the society that we live in. How many languages do you speak? And just out of interest, what are they? I'm just being nosy more than anything here.
All good. That's all fine. I mean, I like to shine with those. I'm with 6 languages right now.
6. There we go. Perfect example.
Yeah. I mean, that is because, I mean, I used to live in already, 8 different countries in all different continents also. Yeah, that's actually true. And whenever I stay somewhere, I mean, I tend to stay for longer times, and I normally dive also into the language. It's just, I cannot not learn a language when I'm staying somewhere for more than 2 or 3 months, right? I totally hear you British guys, to be honest. I mean, I'm working in a British team, by the way. I mean, next to thriving nomads, I'm also having a bread and butter job, and it is kind of hard, even if you want to go somewhere and want to learn another language. The first people that you bump into normally, they are those like, I want to improve my English. I would love to, speak better English, and then you're just like, but I want to learn your language, and it's kind of. And you cannot hide that you're from, let's say, that you're native speaker, and people just tend to speak in English then to you whenever they can, right? So, I mean, yes, it might be one thing that, I mean, let's say native English speakers, they're kind of like maybe expecting that people speak English, but it's also hard to really get out of that, I mean, that's my personal experience,
Yeah, I agree. People do want to speak English, and typically, when I would do my best, and my language skills are not great by any means, but I like to just be able to, do introductions and very basic stuff. But then it tends to lead into kind of everyone wants to speak English because it's that international language. But it can be a barrier for people that want to travel if they don't have a grasp or an understanding or an ability to communicate in that native language of the country that you're at the time.
I mean, just
sorry,
getting back to your question. Sorry. I mean, I'm speaking in German. Obviously, is my native language. I speak English a little bit, at least. French, Spanish, Portuguese, and then Turkish. And yes, it does really, really make
Nice.
it different.
I think we're just losing you there, Joran. I think we're just on the.
It's 10 times more enriching. When, for example, I've been to. Hello.
Hello. I think we're just This is proving international connectivity. Can sometimes be challenging, as we know, even when you're in a static.
Am I back again?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. I was just saying that. So, for example, now in May, I was in Turkey, and since I speak Turkish, it's a whole lot of a different experience, and it's so much worth. I mean, yeah, to go for that. Otherwise, I mean, you can end up living in a country for a long time, barely speaking the language, and you will be just never part of the whole thing,
Yeah, I think that's a very valuable point. If you're going to travel, it's not just sit on your own with your laptop. You've got to embrace what this new country has to offer: language, people, culture. As Christine said, the food and everything that goes with it. We are very, very short on time, Jorin. What would be your top tip for our audience if they're thinking, okay, digital nomad, travel, work? What's the best idea that you could share? One idea.
One thing that I would probably share is I see many people that are like seeing this kind of, being free, being a digital nomad, and they're kind of asking the question like, how can I become digital nomad? And I think this question is not relevant. It's a question such as, how can I become rich fast, please, right? Think about what do you want to do? Like, what's really the thing that you're into? What do you love to do? And then how can you create a location-dependent lifestyle around it, And don't tap into this kind of trap of saying, I want to be a digital nomad. Digital nomad is just you sitting at the laptop. The question is, how can I sit at the laptop, basically, then, And it's not a relevant question, honestly.
Yeah.
Cool.
How can people get in touch with you? If people want to find out more about thriving nomads, I assume the website is a great place to go. Is that the best place for them to go out and find a bit more about what you do and reach out to have a chat with you?
Definitely. Thriving Nomads is one of the addresses, or just simply LinkedIn. I mean, my name is, thanks to my parents, unique. So there is no second Jorin Eichhorn. And if you come on LinkedIn, you can definitely find me. When you add me, maybe send a little message on top. So that always helps, other than just, adding someone and so on. So yeah, pretty much that's it. Thank you very much for having me here for the short while. Awesome that you have your show. Didn't know about it before. And yeah, spontaneously jumped in. Wish you great success and hope to see you in the future.
Yeah, no, brilliant. Thank you very much for joining us, Jorin. Thriving Nomads. Look it up, find out more, and no doubt we'll catch up with you soon. You're now a friend of the show. You're official. We're going to get some pin badges done for all you great supporters. So thank you for joining us this morning. Well, there we go, Nick. We're coming to I was going to say, the top of the hour. We've ticked over 7 minutes past 7.
I've got a conference to get to.
Yeah, you've got a conference. But before you go, Nick, before we say goodbye, you're up to something this weekend. We sometimes pick up on things that you and I get up to, and sometimes we laugh and we smile. I'm going to sit here in absolute awe, Nick, because I know what you're up to. Give the audience, in fact, should we play a video and you can tell us a little bit about what you're doing this weekend? For those that are sitting on their sofa this weekend, maybe watching the Formula One like that I will be doing, Nick has decided to do something a little bit more energetic. Here we go, Nick. Let's pop the video in. Tell us a little bit about this.
This is the Ultra Trail Snowdonia 50K. And this is the route we're taking. Here we go. That's a bit of an incline. Around the countryside. Oh, another incline coming. And then, of course, you can't go to Snowdon without climbing Mount Snowdon. So here we go. We'll be running this top of Snowdon along the ridge, and then it's so nice. Why don't you turn around and run up it again, and then back to Llanberis to complete the 50K brutal but beautiful ultra marathon. I'll be reporting from the peaks.
Wow. We're going to get some photos and video footage for next week on the show to see how that all unravels. Just to be very clear, Nick, you did hear correctly. He said running. That's not on it's not on a motorbike. It's not even on a bicycle. That is on 2 feet. I can only say, Nick, 50 kilometers at the best of times. Tough. Running up and down Snowdon and other inclines, which some call hills, I call mountains. Well, I wish you all the best. What time do you kick off on Saturday morning?
9 o'clock in the morning.
And
Hope
finish.
you finished in 12 hours.
Wow. I look forward to seeing the show next week and hearing more about it. No doubt you'll probably have some sore feet, but do you get a nice shiny medal at least for doing that?
God, I hope so.
We will find out more on the show next week. Yes, we are back next Thursday. Next Thursday is quite an interesting one because next Thursday we are talking about the big reset. If you remember, we were talking about everything that's happening. We haven't mentioned much about it today, but the economy, the inflation increases, everything that's fueled a perfect storm. And next week we're going to be talking all about that. Getting your opinions, your ideas, what the future holds and what it looks like for businesses, entrepreneurs and startups. So tune in next Thursday morning from 8 a.m. where Nick will be sharing his story of Snowdon, hopefully, showing his shiny medal, and we'll be talking to some more fantastic guests. Just want to say a big thank you this morning to Christine, Anna, Stoyan and Jorin for joining us and sharing their top tips, their secrets, and how they are making working life more pleasurable whilst traveling and running businesses. Until next week, it's bye-bye from me.
And cheerio from me.
Nick, enjoy the conference. Bye-bye.